Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What if you laughed all through your commute? Or if you heard the funniest story while at the gym? Well, now you can. I'm Jamila Jamil, and guests on my new podcast, Wrong Turns, share their most mortifying and hilarious disaster stories. I'm talking people like Mae Martin, Bob the Drag Queen, Catherine Ryan, Jake Johnson, Margaret Cho, Simon Pegg, Penn Badgley, and so many more. So listen wherever you get your podcast, Wrong Turns, where dignity goes to die.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit Jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Blowing ad budget on metrics that look great till the CFO sees them. That's bull spend. And marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
I remember telling my boss, it'll be good for the brand, when leads were slow. Yeah, it wasn't.
Cut the bull spend. LinkedIn lets you target by company, job title, and more. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome, everybody, to Tech Magic. My name is Lee Kebler. Kathy Hackle is not here with us today. Instead, we've got our friend Nic Hill from Sawhorse Productions down in Los Angeles. You may wonder why I am not currently in that weird recording studio you're used to seeing me in. And instead, I've got a pool behind me. And that's because I'm actually at Sawhorse Studios today, Sawhorse Production in Los Angeles, California. So forgive the traffic you may hear in the background or the pool you hear bubbling behind me. I am enjoying the sun and pretending like it's not impending fall. Nic, welcome back to the show. Last time we saw you was at the trade show.
AWE.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, the Augmented World Expo, where you guys pulled me on stage and I got to chat with you.
And we had such a great time. I said, okay, if I've got to put someone in Kathy's seat for a week, who am I going to call? I gave you a ring and I said, hey, I'm going to be in LA anyways. And you said, come on down. So here we are.
Well, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me. Obviously, those are very big shoes to fill for Kathy Hackle, but I'm just happy to be here, excited to chat about some stuff. So let's jump in.
I'm going to jump into the deep end here because I had a reason why I really wanted you on this episode. We're kind of coming to the end of what some are calling Tech Timber, and that is there's just a lot of technology events in September and October. This month alone, we had the Apple event, which was a snooze fest. We had RDC, which you were at. You went to RDC. You had a lot of coverage there. And then most recently, a MetaConnect that I don't think anyone's going to ever forget, for better or for worse. And I want to hear, you weren't at the Apple event, but you did go to RDC.
Yeah, that's right. The Apple event I heard was a snoozer.
Oof.
What was the big announcement? You get orange iPhone, a new version.
A really thin iPhone nobody asked for, and
so thin that you need a battery pack to plug it in to function, right?
That was crazy. Not only they offer a battery pack and an external case for the first time, so it can be as thick as your old iPhone. I honestly don't get it. Now, I watched a lot of teardown tests. Those have been rolling out, some of my favorite on YouTube. And I will say this, I will give Apple credit. I thought that thin phone was going to be just a bend nightmare, and it's incredibly strong.
Cool. Okay. Well, that's good. They're making little baby steps toward advancing the iPhone technology. But Apple, I've had so much love and respect for so long. They've kind of reinvented the industry a couple times with these massive innovative swings that they've done. We haven't seen that in a few years. And I feel like we need another iPhone moment in the next like 5 years. Otherwise, they're going to be like a company that can't innovate.
We need another Apple Vision Pro moment is what I think you're really looking for, because they didn't say nothing about Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah, but even that, like, yeah, it's the best headset in my opinion, but zero adoption, so that didn't revolutionize the industry like the original iPhone did. I mean, Apple traditionally has kind of came to market with some of these unique things that really changed the space. And I haven't seen that in many years, unfortunately.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I do, I'm going to say this. I do think we saw some revolutionary things with the Apple Vision Pro, and a lot of that had to do with like UI, UX. I think they did a really good job with the internal UI, UX for what it is. And undeniably, we are seeing Meta kind of adopt some of those designs. So weirdly, in their own way, probably not in the way they wanted, they did influence the market quite a bit. It just didn't necessarily sell headsets, or if it did, the buying market share kind of fell off a cliff pretty quickly.
That's fair. Yeah, I do think for like, UI with your hands as the controllers, they definitely were leading there. And now Meta with the new wristband is kind of doing something similar. So you could argue that Apple kind of paved the way.
Now, I didn't get to go to Apple Connect, and Kathy wasn't there either, and she was pretty salty about that. But she wants to know everything the moment it's happening, and I'm right there with her. But you were there, and you were kind of front row. There's a lot to talk about MetaConnect. For those who don't know, it was a bit of a bumpy ride. I don't know how you wouldn't know. It kind of did make headlines pretty quickly. But as someone who sat in that audience, how was that? Because to us watching it through the screen, one, it was a lot later than we were used to. It was like at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So that was super strange.
On Thursday night, yeah. It was wild being in the audience. I mean, I was so hyped. I've gone to a lot of these keynotes at different conferences over the past few years. And I got to say, it was like a star moment, to see Zuckerberg. That's definitely on the bucket list, is to see some of these tech leaders speak. So for me, I was really looking forward to it. And yeah, it's just a big room full of all kinds of amazing developers sitting down, really enthusiastic about VR, about wearables, smart glasses, Horizon worlds, all of this. We're all there like listening on what's going on. Super hyped, good production value. Zuckerberg comes out talking about all this great stuff. And then when we get into the tech demos, they just don't work. Live tech demos. And the first time when he was on a video call with a chef is asking the AI to basically look at all the ingredients on the table and give him a recipe. And it just blunders and just kind of skips 2 steps. And they're like, okay, let's just cut
twice.
This and come back to you.
He gives that AI a second shot at it and asks it again, and it gives the wrong step, which led to a lot of questions of, and I'm speculating here. Listen, listeners, I don't know. We're just talking, right? This is just conversation. It did make me question, was that like a scripted moment with the AI and it just got out of order? Or was there something that the AI wasn't interpreting correctly? Like, why did it felt like it skipped to the end of the recipe?
Yeah, it just felt like it jumped forward, because like now that you have all the things combined, it's like, well, you didn't tell me what to combine. So yeah, just
right. We've all seen tech events that are scripted. I guarantee you've seen tech events that are scripted, even if you didn't know. That's how you know it was a good one, is because if you didn't know it was scripted, it was really good. So when you see things go kind of off the rails as bad as this did, it does let me know that real tech is involved, right? And so I got to give credit where credit's due. I really do appreciate people putting it out there and saying, we're going to try it, and you can practice it as many times as you want, and there will always be that edge case that you didn't prepare for. This one blundered multiple times.
Yeah, when the chef moment happened, they said, okay, we'll check in with you later. They cut that. They go back to the show. I think everyone was still like rooting for Mark at that stage. And it was like, okay, it's a live demo. Things happen, whatever. The rest of the presentation is still good. And then, they're revealing the smart glasses. They first start talking about the Meta Ray-Bans next version of the ones that I have on right now, which basically is just like the next model, longer battery life, all these little simple updates that aren't that exciting. Then they go into talking about the Oakleys, which are pretty awesome. Big upgrade, huge battery. The cameras now jumping to 3K. Now they're water resistant. You can like plunge in the water with them. And they have all these other sports related features. So if you're like a biker, a cyclist, a runner, or extreme sports person, like these are going to be awesome. So that was cool.
Oh, I'm going to stop you there. There was a moment with the Oakley's thing where I'm watching it because I always think about how other companies respond when they're watching this because they're watching. And I'm watching that Oakley's thing and I'm just thinking to myself, the guys at GoPro must be just packing up their bags. I don't know how you compete. It's such a... And I'm using GoPro as an example because they were like the top of cameras in sports. And then I'm watching like 3K in Oakley's that are like specifically designed for sports recording, casting, gathering data. And I'm just like, guys, how did we
Yeah. They also added a layer of like image stabilization, that you can apply and it keeps the image straight and smooth, which is awesome. But I will say, I mean, all that footage has gone through post-production and it's made to be as nice as possible.
Sure.
And
that's true.
I will say, even my filmmaking background, I've worked with tons of GoPros over the year, and they're superior product. You could still get like up to 8K with GoPros. You could still get they're still ahead, but it's only a matter of time until that tech finds itself into the wearable, and then it's like, why would I have this little box I got to carry around? I just do this all on my wearable. But I think they probably got a couple years until they can surpass what good GoPro is doing from a quality standpoint.
When we start seeing Red Bull sponsorships, that's when I'll know it's really coming. That always seems...
I mean, fashion over function. Like, what are you going to walk around with a little box and film your stuff? Or do you want to wear cool glasses and like skateboard down the street? I mean, I think people are be like, I don't really care if it's 3K, 8K, 25K. Like, I just want to wear these things and they feel good, So that's what Meta's got going for them.
Yeah. Then they display the display.
Yeah. Well, that was the big moment. I was stoked. And, honestly, it's just a bummer that it already had gotten leaked like a couple days beforehand, so I already was anticipating it. And it's such a bummer when you have these big keynotes and your tech is leaked prior, because it kind of takes the magic out of the moment.
And it happens every time lately.
I know, because like a week out, I was like, what's going to happen with smart glasses? How far are they? Where are we going to get to? And I wasn't quite sure if the display was coming, but sure enough, it was here. And I mean, it is fantastic. I demoed it later on that night. And it worked really well for me, and it was awesome. It's what I've been waiting for a long time. But during the keynote, Zuckerberg does a demo. He tries to call Boz in the audience and doesn't work. He can't answer the call.
Multiple times.
And that's where the cringe started to come in a little bit. I just felt bad for Mark. I felt bad for Meta. I was like, I know this stuff works. Why is it not working right now at the moment that it has to? It sucks.
We grabbed lunch before this, and you said this, and I agree with you. For as bumpy of a showcase as that was, I actually don't know how Mark could have handled it better. I would have been a rattled mess.
He was cool as a cucumber, and I think that really humanized him, because I think he could have got frustrated, he could have got flustered, maybe confused, thrown off. Nothing. He has changed his persona. He is like a bro now, and he was full bro on that stage. He was like, hey, man, tech issues. What are you going to do, right? It's a live demo. Laugh it off. We still have exciting stuff, guys. Let's keep going. And I think that obviously in that audience, we're all devs. We all know that software is a living product. It's breathing. You can push updates. And I don't think anyone was like, this is a shitty product that doesn't work. I think they just felt like we're on the bleeding edge of new tech. It's rolling out and we're all here to figure it out. I will say that it was awesome that they're opening the glasses up with the SDK so that developer can start to add and build and grow along with this tech. They didn't mention exactly what that means in any way, shape, or form, but they said that they will be opening it up.
That was the red flag for me. I'm a big proponent for this tech. I was really glad to see it. Yes, we talked about it a couple shows ago when it got leaked because it seemed pretty like set in stone. This is what was going to happen. And it's what happened. But hearing from the developer standpoint where like, okay, you guys got some information that there's like a launching SDK. People are going to be able to build off of this at launch. That's so big. Maybe they held back on that because MetaConnect as as it is presented online isn't necessarily for developers, right? Like it also is targeted at consumers. So I'm wondering maybe they just thought that was too, above market head for like, you had to be a developer to understand what that meant. But it's really great to hear that, because my first question was, okay, I see you using a map app. I see you using a text app, and I see all of these apps, but that text app is WhatsApp, right? And okay, you have an Instagram feed, and these are all Meta products. And as far as I know, Meta doesn't have a map app, so I wasn't really sure where the map was coming from, but it didn't look like Google Maps to me, and it definitely isn't going to be Apple Maps. So I wasn't really sure, like, okay, I didn't want to see a great piece of technology launch with a walled garden app store that wasn't going to have an opportunity to truly grow and bring in third parties. So hearing that, like, no, we're launching with this SDK, that's incredibly beneficial. Price point,
Yeah, 800.
for what it is, I think that's actually less than what I was expecting. $800 is a lot of money. Like, don't get me wrong, but for what it is, if that were an Apple product, you'd have to throw a zero on the end of it at this point. Like
80,000. No, I mean, that's what you got to give props to Meta. I think from a hardware standpoint, I mean, they are a fantastic hardware tech company. They are coming up with like very cost-effective hardware that functions really well. You got to give it to them in VR, and now in the smart glasses game, they are straight up leading.
Yeah, and I think it was smart for them to, I've been saying this for a long time, it was so smart for them to partner with Ray-Ban and now Oakley, like people who know how to make glasses. For a company to say there are things we do well and there are things that we don't do well, so we're going to partner with the people who do those things well, that I have a hard time saying that was like an incredible self-aware moment for Meta, because sometimes Meta doesn't strike the public as a self-aware company, but a lot of tech companies wouldn't do that. When Google tried to make Google Glass a thing, they didn't do that, right? And so there's so much value to doing that. So
It's these simple decisions, like I think the instinct is like, we can make our own glasses and they'll look like this futuristic, cool sci-fi. Like look at the Snap glasses, the spectacles. I don't want to throw any shade, but those things look horrendous. This is not something I want to put on my face.
you know what this is the thing that I think Meta did really well with these glasses. Now, I've not tried them, so you've tried them. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the number one thing, since we've seen lightwave AR technology try to become a thing, going all the way back to the HoloLens. People put on the HoloLens and they said, this is really cool technology, but my view space is only this big. And then HoloLens 2 comes out and they say, we doubled it, but that only means it's this big, right? You still see these really awkward outlines. And to your point, the spectacles from Snap, whatever they look like while they're on your face, which I think is incredibly important, and I agree with you, they still had this issue where the landscape became a drawback because as you looked around, things got cut off. The very smart, and I think a very Apple thing that Meta did here was they said, we're just going to have this light wave and we're going to operate it on a 2D plane, and it only lives in this space. So you never realize how very small that area is. You're not getting this awkward cutoff thing because it's not trying to track unnecessary stuff.
Amazing design.
When I saw that, it was such a duh moment that I started questioning why it took this long for the answer to be pull back until you can answer the full question. We kept trying to answer the full question with partial answers too quick, when the answer really is, from what I saw with Meta, do stop with whatever it does well now and don't show the edges.
Yeah. Well, I'm a fan of Jon Favreau, and he said we were doing a project with him, and he said something that when it comes to technology, he likes to take it all the way up to the edge of what is doable and still looking good. Even though he could go here with the tech, but then it's problematic and not perfect and whatever. You just go right up to the edge where it's going to look good, and then you just call it. And I feel like that's what Meta did with these, with the visuals. It's like they knew they can make something work in a small space. So own that space and make it look at the best that it can. Don't try to make it bigger than what it is, because we can't go full 3D at this stage. So don't even try.
You have your own podcast, Brands in Play, and as soon as people are done listening to this podcast, go check out that podcast. It's a really interesting technology podcast that I call it a technology podcast. That's probably not what you want me to say. It's definitely like how brand integration happens with technology. And I'll let you do a better pitch of it for yourself. But I'm curious from your perspective, from a brands in play perspective, what you saw at MetaConnect and what you're going to take from that. And when you go talk to a brand and they're saying, well, we saw all of this new technology at MetaConnect. We saw this. Some of it maybe didn't work well. What do you say? Like, what's the brand in play here?
Yeah, great call. So look, MetaConnect was for a 3-day event. And the 2 days before the keynote was all about Meta Horizon Worlds. So we can unpack that in a minute. But on the second day at night was the keynote, and then the following day was all of the broader Connect, which was talking about all of the smart glasses and everything. But if you just look at it from the keynote side, there isn't a lot that brands can do with these glasses. How do you advertise anyway within these glasses? It's a closed Meta ecosystem. So I don't have any solutions for brands other than the SDK. Are they going to allow us to build apps? Are a lot of users using those apps? Is there a way we can find to bring brands inside of those apps that are being built? So I think time will tell. Like if I can't advise any brand to do anything within these classes because there is no current opportunity.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's talk Horizon, because I think you had a lot of insight and you saw a lot from the other days of Connect that just weren't online, right?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, that was pretty mind-blowing, and I'm excited to chat about that because Mark didn't really talk about Horizon Worlds much in the main keynote. He talked about the Horizon
not at all.
Engine. He talked about the Horizon Engine as an entertainment platform, like, building a three-dimensional environment in VR that you could go inside and how the engine's improving. But he didn't really talk about Worlds specifically. But he did say something within the first 3 sentences of his keynote. He mentioned the metaverse. And that is a word that is off limits. It is a blacklisted word, yet he owned it. The company is still branded Meta. And I think what I loved is he kind of took a more holistic, broader sense and then said, look, the metaverse is all around us. It's about connecting people digitally in ways that we aren't currently connected. And we're going to do that through smart glasses. So I thought that was really smart. And the fact that Meta is still showing a dedication into building this metaverse space any way, shape, or form. And I thought that was cool. But going to the first couple days of the summit, it was all about the Meta Horizons platform. So I don't know if the listeners know what that is. I'm sure some do. But essentially, it is the UGC gaming equivalent for virtual reality that's owned by Meta. It's been competing with all the other major platforms like Roblox and Fortnite, Zepeto, Rec Room. It was traditionally VR, and just in the past few months, they made a decision to make it also available for mobile. And traditionally, it's been a very small platform with a very small user base, and it hasn't been very popular or respected. There's a lot of memes out there. I'm sure people have seen that image of Zuckerberg, super lo-fi graphics standing in front of the Eiffel Tower. The fidelity wasn't there. They went all in. They rebranded their company Meta. They said, look how great it is. Come join us. And the whole world said, wait, that is it? No, I don't want to join you. So in general, the Meta Horizon platform just hasn't been getting any love. It hasn't really been growing. But what I experienced over those 2 days at Connect told me that Meta is all in on making this work. And I was walking around there, and the number of top UGC gaming studios that were invited and participating was unbelievable. The biggest studios from Roblox, the biggest studios from Fortnite. Sawhorse was there. We just built a game and launched on the platform. We have 2 games. And the roadmap is just improving that tool. Essentially, they're launching an entire new engine for better fidelity of graphics, larger servers sizes, more concurrent users could be in an instance at the same time, better physics, more professional tool. They've made a full commitment going mobile first and not even focusing on VR at all. And here's the amazing part that you really need to wrap your head around is that they will be leaning on their family of apps to promote Horizon World. So that means Instagram, Facebook and WhatsApp with a combined user base of something like 4 to 6 billion people. And what they're going to do is run advertisements and playable Horizon demos on those other platforms. And if they push hard, that is how they plan on growing this platform. So I walked away with the realization that Meta is all in, extremely serious in making this platform work. Mark didn't want to talk about it yet because it has to grow, but they have a real serious plan to make this thing grow.
Okay, I want to back up for a quick second because you said something that I think could easily get glossed over, and I would love context here. When you say Meta has said that Horizon is a mobile-first platform, okay, I want to back that statement up a little bit because it started as a VR platform. They are the global kingpin of VR headsets. Meta doesn't make a phone, right? The hardware they make are headwear, right? Whether it's the Quest or it's the Ray-Bans or Oakleys. So hearing Horizon be a mobile first, that shift, one, how did that come up? But two, I find that very strange considering they're in the mobile game, right? Like Instagram is a mobile app. It's not like they're foreign to the mobile
Facebook games.
Yeah, that's their statement is mobile first now. We're shifting those gears.
It's because that's where the growth is going to come from. I don't think that they can come out and spell this out because they bet so much on VR. And I still, they're not abandoning VR. It's still going to be, something that they do. Even in Mark's keynote, there was all kinds of shots of people using VR for entertainment, but as far as gaming, there was no VR gaming imagery in that. And they know that look at on Roblox, for instance, I think something like 80% of the user base of that 112 million daily active users, they're all on mobile phones across the world. And that is the growth area, is the majority of the users are on their phones. So if you're going to grow an audience, you have to be on a phone. And right now, I think that's their main focus because they have to make this platform much larger.
I did find it odd that their gaming didn't really focus on the VR side, especially considering they just launched this year. They did the Xbox partnership, and that was a whole push towards getting kind of what would be considered flat screen gaming into VR, similar to kind of what Apple is wanting to do with the Apple Vision Pro. Now, you also went to RDC, and I'm curious. Okay, when you see RDC, you see all the plans happening at RDC, and there were quite a bit of few announcements there. And then you go almost immediately to MetaConnect, and you're hearing about their version of Roblox, which is Horizon Worlds. Where do you see a striking difference? And I'm going to ask you to make a bet. And who do you think's winning in in the next year? Who do you think's going to make the biggest strides? Obviously, they're not going to eclipse Roblox. Horizons is not going to eclipse Roblox in the next year. That's not what I mean. But there's always market growth, right? There's big strides that can be taken, and you've kind of got the company who's been around, since 2007 been doing this, and now a company that's equally been around since 2007, but they're getting into it. These are very large companies playing with billions with the B. What way's the wind blowing in 2025, 26?
Well, this is a cop-out answer, but it's both are going to have a lot of growth. I mean, honestly,
that is a cop-out answer.
That's not I'll explain why. That's not me being political. Straight up, I will be honest with you. Roblox is a beast that is on a accelerated bullet train. It is not stopping. It is growing exponentially. I've been to the past 3 or 4 RDCs, and I've just seen this platform just, it's massive growth. And that just confirmed it last RDC I was at. You're only going to see that daily active user count go up. The platform tool from an advanced POV, it's the best and strongest platform engine out there. It's the oldest. It's been around for almost 20 years. It's super old. So, it's pretty fantastic. I anticipate a ton of growth there. And then when it comes to Meta Horizon, I think they have something like 900,000 daily active users. So it's pretty less than 1 million from my understanding, my research I've done. And, look, if they can improve the quality of the tool, which they already are doing, they already have done. And if they can lean into those family of apps, I just think you're going to see massive adoption. And there's so many great studios that are building on that platform right now and building a community. So, I could definitely see it doubling or tripling in size like in the next year. Like, and yes, smaller numbers like a Roblox, but I mean, that's pretty rapid growth.
Those are strides. Those are big strides, and they add up. Last question, and then we're going to go to a quick break. Going to RDC, a lot of announcements happened. A lot of them about safety mechanisms. They addressed a lot of like recent concerns. All of that was really great. So not in that realm, but of the new announcements of RDC, what was the biggest standout that you said, either I wasn't expecting that or I was really hoping that I was going to get that and we're getting it? What's the headline?
I think that it just solidified the fact that they're the leader in the space, making the best tool possible. I like that. And I think that the one call out for me was the Moments app, which essentially is like, it's a social media video sharing app that exists inside the Roblox platform itself. We know that there's so much Roblox content being viewed on external platforms like YouTube, for instance, something billions and billions of views there. And we know that works. Now that's being brought into the Roblox ecosystem. So users can stay in Roblox, they can do all their social watching. Plus, if you see a video of a game that looks interesting that you're watching, you can click a button and go straight into that game and play it. So it's good for discovery. It's good for the developers. It's good for the entertainment ecosystem. I think the Roblox platform itself is becoming more of a broad entertainment platform, not just for gaming, not just for social. And this is a step in that direction. So I was happy to see it.
All right. With that, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to dive into a couple of stories. The first thing that I'm going to want to talk about is some like new technology that I finally got to experience for the first time. And it just blew my socks off. So we'll be back with more tech magic right after this.
Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bull spend. And marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bull spend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
This message is brought to you by Warner Brothers Discovery Advertising. And this is more than an ad. This is an invitation to be part of the stories the world can't stop watching, to connect with moments that dominate the conversation, to participate in culture, not just advertise around it. With the most sought-after IP, passionate audiences, and an advanced AI-powered foundation, WBD advertising transforms attention into influence and impressions into outcomes. This is innovation. This is impact. This is opportunity. This is Warner Brothers Discovery Advertising. Visit advertising.wbd.com to learn more.
Hey, Yetis, this is Nick and Jack from the Best One Yet podcast. Now, the last company we worked at, they used Paylocity and everything just worked. It wasn't until launching our own media business, this show, that we realized how rare that is.
Because Paylocity is one delicious burrito of operational needs. They roll up HR, finance, and IT seamlessly into one delicious bite.
When everything wraps together like that all at once, your workforce, your tech stack, your business, you don't need more tools. You don't even need cilantro.
You need one solution.
And that is why Paylocity built a single platform to connect HR, finance, and IT with AI-driven insights and automated workflows that simplify the complex and power what's next.
Or as we call it, a delicious operational burrito.
Yes, we do. Experience a one place for all your HCM needs, besties.
So start now at Paylocity.com/one.
Paylocity.com/ONE.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hello, hello, it's Brooke Devard from Naked Beauty. Join me each week for unfiltered discussion about beauty trends, self-care journeys, wellness tips, and the products we absolutely love and cannot get enough of. If you are a skincare obsessive and you spend 20 plus minutes on your skincare routine, this podcast is for you. Or if you're a newbie at the beginning of your skincare journey, you'll love this podcast as well because we go so much deeper than beauty. I talk to incredible and inspiring people from across industries about their relationship with beauty. You'll also hear from skincare experts. We break down lots of myths in the beauty industry. If this sounds like your thing, search for Naked Beauty on your podcast app and listen along. I hope you'll join us.
All right, we are back with Tech Magic. I'm Lee Kebler. Kathy is out for the week. I am joined by our friend Nic Hill from Sawhorse Productions in Los Angeles, California, and is also a host of his own podcast, Brands in Play. You should check that out for sure as soon as you're done listening to this episode. Don't go away too quickly. And I'm actually in Los Angeles with you. We are in this beautiful back area of Sawhorse in
The headquarters.
LA. Yeah, we're in headquarters, and which means I'm in Los Angeles, California. And I've been here for a couple of days. And I got to experience my first Waymo. My first experience of Waymo is up on my Instagram. It's a 4-minute video of me freaking out, if I'm being completely honest. It's the most geeked out over technology I have been since maybe 2015, 2016, when like this new generation of VR finally hit. And I remember the first time I put on the headset and played with Tilt Brush, and my head just kind of exploded and I just got giddy like a kid. Same feeling yesterday. I called my first Waymo, and this automated Jaguar car pulls up with my initials spinning on this like almost hologram-like disc on top of it. And the app opens the door and it tells me to get in. And I got roasted online a little bit because I didn't know what to do when I was by myself. So I didn't have people with me, and I got in the front seat. Like, I guess that's not something you normally do. I didn't get in the driver's seat, thankfully.
That's not cool in the real world with humans. You know that, right?
No, but there was no human. So I was like, do I get in the front? I didn't know.
You just get in the driver's seat to be like, I can go wherever I want.
Mine now. It was way more streamlined and well thought out as a user experience than I expected. And this is coming from, I think the world, everyone who's in tech got incredibly, I don't know, that trough of disillusionment. We hit that before we ever saw the product because we heard Tesla talk about automated driverless taxis for the last 10 years. And it was always next year we were going to get it. Next year we were going to get it, to the point where it became almost like a meme and a punchline. So for me to call up a Waymo owned by Google of all companies, I had to look that up because I immediately wanted to know who I needed to buy stock in. It was such a great experience. I really was not expecting such a smooth, futuristic calm. It was a very calming experience. You get in, there's a calming voice that walks you through what's happening, even though all you have to do is put your seatbelt on. And then even the music that was playing in the background was this nice, gentle music. You can change it with Spotify on your phone. You can open up your Spotify app and play whatever music you want, which oh my gosh, I didn't know I was missing that with Lyft and Uber. That was just incredible. And then I was off. And I was in Beverly Hills at the time, and Beverly Hills is not exactly known for its incredibly wide open roads. So to watch this vehicle maneuver through these very tight roads where there's a lot of parallel parked cars, deal with traffic on Santa Monica at 5 p.m., change lanes, and then get me there safely and properly pull me off right at the door where I need to be. I was floored. I did not think this technology was this far along, which loses credibility for me. That's my job, right? That's what this podcast does, is tell you what's coming. So because I didn't live in Los Angeles and I never tried one, this was my first experience to do it. And everyone around me, all of my friends here, were just like, what are you talking about? You've not taken a Waymo yet? It just felt so surreal and also a little embarrassing at the same time because I felt way behind, which I'm not used to.
Well, it sounds like you experienced some tech magic right there. right?
It was legit tech magic. Great tie-in. Yeah, so Waymo's the future. I'm sure other people will get in line. Everything about it that I was concerned. I will say this. There was one thing that happened that made me realize all tech has a blind spot. And thankfully, it wasn't in the driving. The blind spot here was I got in the car and the last passenger before me left a drink in the soda cup and a cup holder and actually accidentally spilled some like water in the driver's seat. And I realized like, well, when you don't have a driver, who cleans up between? So I immediately was like, okay, I'm going to take a photo of this and make sure that I send this to work because I don't want to get stuck with it. I don't know how this stuff is logging it. Evidently, there's a camera in there and they would have known it wasn't me. But I didn't know that as a new user. You're just not really sure. And that made me realize like, oh yeah, there is an issue where like if you're not a driver and this is going point to point and no one says anything, you could have a cleanup issue to the point where when I made the report about the spilled drink, one of the options in the UI just said vomit. And that wouldn't be there unless there was a story. You know what I mean? It's kind of like something.
I think I've taken Ubers that had previously vomited the person before me. But then in that sense, you have that in that case, you have a Uber driver that pulls over and like wipes it off really quick and then tries to spray some Lysol, then throw it back in and prays that the people don't freak out. But yeah, there's no human involved in this, right? So I don't know. Is there like a stinko-meter that goes off if it's too gnarly in there that it just diverts itself to the garage for cleaning?
Thankfully, that was like all it was. And then my next like couple of rides, nothing like that happened. But it was my very first one. As I got in, it's like, there's a Dr. Pepper soda in the driver's seat. What is happening? And then, yeah, but the rest of it, genuinely like the future's here. That was absolutely amazing for me.
I have not ridden in one yet. It's on my bucket list, so I got to get after it.
It was fantastic. I can't gush over enough. Anyways, enough with Waymo. I had to tell that story because I very rarely get so deeply impressed with tech. Let's jump into a couple of news stories, one of which I don't think anybody saw coming. Intel has been in the headlines this year, mostly because of the CHIP Act and the money that went from the government to Intel. And then now our government said, well, I guess now we own part of Intel because we paid for it. This has just been a wild headline back and forth. And I kind of thought that had died down and said, okay, well, I kind of get their point. This is strange, but it is what it is. And then out of nowhere, ghost drop, NVIDIA comes in and drops $5 billion to buy a stake in Intel. This is huge. This is massive. I don't think I saw this coming. I'm not entirely. I'm up in Oregon, and Intel is one of our largest employers and one of our largest companies in Portland, alongside like Nike and Adidas. But like as technology goes, Intel is Oregon, and what a shakeup to see that turnaround so quickly. I think it was smart. I think it was something that Intel desperately needed. I'm former Intel alum. I worked there for years, and so they're always a company that I'm, rooting for in the background. I think that they're genuinely a wonderful company, and they've had their problems. But seeing the one area they've not been able to crack into, and they've tried, has been GPUs, and GPUs have just become such a necessary part of the future of computing. So to see them strike a deal was really, really big. I don't have any other news other than this is something people need to know happened.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is big news. But I mean, how does that affect the end user, the consumer?
I think it could potentially, especially on like the gaming side of things, it could potentially, reading tea leaves here, not saying anything that's set in stone, I could see that partnership elevating maybe the predominance of Intel back into the processor game for gaming computers, because AMD has been taking out such a huge chunk of personal computing space, right? There's definitely been a market share loss for Intel to personal computing space. Now, the secret is Intel like processes a lot of the cloud, like server computers run on like Intel architecture. So it's not like that was a company that was ever in trouble, but it's concerning when you start seeing like desktop space go to AMD. And so to see NVIDIA come in and say, yeah, we're gonna get a stake in you, which means that, like, I would think, and again, I'm just speculating, that's what we do here, that would mean that there's some preference to Intel as a processing partner on the CPU side of a GPU, on the world's largest GPU company. That could mean a lot for them. I also hope that there's a knowledge share, right? That this stake comes with a knowledge share, because from a GPU standpoint, the work that NVIDIA has done has been fantastic. And I think that there's a lot that Intel could learn from the processing approach that they have taken, which has been, it's a powerhouse. So that knowledge share could mean a lot for bringing Intel back. However, this is not the only like weird, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, old tech out of nowhere shakeup that I saw happen last week. This one got me to the point where I honestly thought maybe it was a joke, that Oracle is the company that looks like they're in line for taking over the US operations of TikTok. That you know the meme of like, hello fellow students, and it oh, what's his name? Like,
it's like grandpa trying to run Nike. It doesn't make any sense. Also, like, isn't Trump just going to keep extending this deadline for another 5 years?
Unless this is the solution. I mean, there's a lot behind this that does kind of like, from a business standpoint, make sense. But yeah, Oracle seems to be, unless something changes, which by the time this thing goes live on Wednesday, who knows? But this is the headline now that, yeah, a consortium led by Oracle and Silver Lake, they've agreed to acquire an 80% stake in TikTok's US operations. This is a huge shift. A lot of political scrutiny over the years, national security concerns. And again, this is a both party. This conversation really took place during the Biden administration. So we can't point fingers in two different directions. Like, this has always been a national security concern, regardless of political party. So to see Oracle kind of pop up in the headlines, because I think there were speculations that it could be just about anybody, but I don't think this was on anyone's bingo card. It definitely wasn't on mine. It'll be interesting as that plays out and we see things like Roblox with their moments, right? Like, does TikTok actually stay relevant in all of this? Or does this give opportunity to a Roblox? Does it give opportunity to a Meta? Does this give opportunity to these social media empires to say, hey, TikTok's not cool anymore. Come over here, kids.
It depends if they mess it up. If they step in and be like, oh, we've got great ideas for this, that's bad. If you let TikTok do its thing, clearly it's dominating. So you want to leave it alone. If you own it, let the leadership that is there continue to do their thing. I will say that, like, I was a little confused by the Roblox thing. I thought it was really interesting, but Roblox is a UGC gaming platform. All the users are there to predominantly play games, but also socialize with their friends. They also have TikTok and YouTube and everything else on their phone. They go to those platforms to watch video and consume content. Now Roblox is trying to kind of do it, keep everybody in the same ecosystem. My question is, like, is that just going to be a replacement for TikTok altogether? I don't know. I don't think it's going to have the same value.
Well, part of value is like where it's accessible and what is accessible, right? I think if TikTok stayed on the trajectory that it's been on, I think you're right. It's going to become very hard they've got a massive population that's already on. But if these companies come in and they start shaking up and say, no, we know how to do it better, and they don't, then they could easily lose. We've seen it before, okay? Let's be real honest. We have definitely seen this before. Once upon a time, MySpace was king. It was king. And I believe it was Rupert Murdoch and the Fox organization came in and they bought MySpace. And I remember when I signed off of MySpace, and it was not because of anything political. It was every time I logged in, I had to watch an ad for the Simpsons movie. That was the same era. And Fox had so much invested in the Simpsons movie that year that was when it just became, oh, I guess I'm going to go over to Facebook. And it gave Facebook a real opportunity because a much more older, irrelevant to the platform company came in and said, nah, we're going to do it our way. And it died on the vine very quickly. I'm not saying that's what Oracle's going to do. If they take this 80% stake, if this is the direction that happens, the ball is in their court not to do that, is what I'm saying. And if they did do that, it could do a lot of damage and give a direct opportunity to a Roblox to keep retention of their players. I don't know.
How come Meta can't just buy TikTok?
There's no doubt in my mind that hasn't been a conversation. I mean, how many times, we're not a political talk show. I try to toe the line as best as I can, but it is an incredibly difficult time and place to do that. But if I'm Mark Zuckerberg making that many trips to the White House, I would think that's part of the conversation I would be having. Maybe not, but like if I'm in the seat and this is the thing that I want to do, I would kind of feel like I would want to toss my hat in the ring. But who knows? Maybe he doesn't want it. Maybe he thinks he can compete with it directly. We were talking about this earlier of Meta has a history of trying to buy the thing that will help them. And if they can't buy it, they just launch the torpedoes and build their own version to try to like take it out. And we definitely saw that happen with like Snapchat, right? Like they tried to buy Snapchat. Snapchat said, we do not want your $4 billion. Hindsight being 2020, you'd have to ask them. I kind of feel like maybe that was a mistake. And so they went and they bought who would take their money, which was Instagram, which was not as big as Snapchat back then. I think a lot of people forget that. And they bought Instagram because Instagram decided they would take the money and they made Instagram. And there's no doubt that Instagram is much larger than Snapchat in today's market. Not that Snapchat is irrelevant or doesn't exist. They do, but they're not Instagram, like per the numbers. I don't know. I think sometimes they like playing that game of like, we'll try to buy it. And if we can't, then we'll just compete with it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, TikTok is one of those things that the Americans want or they need. They're not going to just, allow this to go offline and not be available to the public. And there's going to be too much pressure. So there needs to be a solution. If it's Oracle, fine. Seems weird, but hopefully they get it figured out because demand for this weird site is, it's too high.
Yes. Speaking of competition and going back to MetaConnect, you saw the glasses, you got to try them. You're wearing your own pair of Ray-Bans, not the displays, but I'm sure in a couple months you'll be wearing the displays too. But did you see that OpenAI is exploring ChatGPT glasses?
No, I did not see that, but it makes sense. Did you hear that Amazon is making their own glasses?
That's not going to work.
Codename Jaybird. And essentially, the new Meta Ray-Bans with the display in one eye is exactly what they're making. Amazon is making it, and they're targeting Q4 of next year for release, which is pretty late, knowing that these glasses or Meta's coming out in Q4 of this year. That would be a year late.
It's a year late, and it's so like Amazon to do this because it's like we saw the iPad come out, and then a couple years later, we saw Amazon try to make their own tablet. And all that tablet did, even though it was much cheaper, all that tablet did was become the tablet you handed like your kid because you didn't care if it broke. That is why the Fire tablet exists for a lot of people, is it's kind of a more child-proof, less expensive tablet that will run YouTube Kids. Just be real about it.
Yeah, if these new glasses are $800, if Amazon can do it for $5, I guess there's a market for that. It's not as good, does kind of the same stuff. You have to remember that if we're moving into a spatial computing era, a AR era, where if all the glasses are smart and we all have to use them for our daily lives, we're going to need disposable, low-cost competitors. So maybe that's a place that they find some success.
It'll be interesting what they decide to do, because if they go solely on, we're going to try and cut price, and this goes for ChatGPT too, we're going to try and cut price and we're going to try to make these as cheap as possible. I think they might be missing the mark that the glasses are the fashion, right? And there's a lot to that where I think that there is a societal pushback on the Meta Ray-Bans that isn't as strong if they had just been Meta glasses. I think if they had just been regular glasses by Meta, there would have been more of a societal pushback. In the fact that they are Ray-Bans gives it some level of credibility that people don't have what would have been a visceral reaction to Meta's making wearable cameras on your face.
I agree with that. And I think that's completely right now. But I think in the future, there's such an opportunity for AR and spatial computing that we will all have these devices. And so
I can see
at that point, you're like, cool, I don't like Ray-Bans. I like whatever's. It doesn't matter. I'm using it for the functionality because it's what I do as I walk around in the city. It's important to me.
But you know what they're going to want to do with it? They're going to want to see my house, and they're going to want to see when I'm out of paper towel rolls and automatically order paper towel rolls and ship them to my house. And honestly, I don't want my glasses doing that. But I guarantee you that is the dream of Amazon putting glasses out there.
You're going to get the little pop-ups in the display, like a little toilet paper roll with a question mark. You need that? Looks like you're out, homie.
Yeah,
Auto buy.
use that right there. Do you really want your Amazon glasses seeing your bathroom and noticing when you're out of toilet paper? I don't like that.
I don't need that. I don't need it.
Trust me, I know.
Fair.
All right, we're going to wrap this up. I've really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you again for inviting me down to Sawhorse.
Thanks for coming.
And we do this thing at the end of our show where one of us kind of talks about, hey, I'm watching this show, I'm reading this book, I'm listening to this new band. So I'm going to extend that to you. What are you media consuming right now that you think listeners need to go check out?
That's an easy one. I'm fully obsessed with Alien Earth, the new TV show from FX. You can watch it on Disney Plus. I don't know if you're a fan of Alien, the franchise. Are you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is amazing. This is a beautiful work of art. It's an 8-part series. By the time this comes out, the final episode will be out. So all 8, you can binge it if you want to.
So you can just binge it and get in and get out.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, the lore is fantastic. If you're a fan, it's, not only do we have the xenomorph in this, but there's like 5 or 6 other species that are equally as deadly. This is also a period piece. It takes place before the first Alien film. So even in the opening scene, everything looks like Alien. All the actors, all the facial hair, everything is like, it's all retro.
It's like the 70s.
Yeah. And basically, but it's like, it's in the future, but the ship crashes into Earth. It's got the specimens on there. All hell breaks loose. It's fantastic. It's so well done. Amazing soundtrack. It's all like 90s jams that play at the end of all the episodes. It's really cool. And one thing that I think is really interesting, and I think you wanted to pick your brain on this. When I was growing up, I always saw the Alien series as kind of just standard sci-fi horror, which really it is the humans versus this crazy creature that's an enemy. It's a demon. It's killing them. But I failed to realize that, and I think that the Alien series has continued to sort of deliver on this concept. But I think Alien series is all about evolution and species dominance, right? The humans are trying to dominate. The xenomorph or the alien is stronger. It's trying to dominate. But the synthetics, the AI, is also trying to dominate. For all of those films, there's an AI character, and that's smarter than the humans, and they see the power of the xenomorphs. They always want to harness that power. They are competing with us. We're all competing. And I think that it's so relevant right now to watch this series or watch any of those films and just look at the way Ridley Scott and everybody, they all sort of treated the way those AI beings interacted with us. We are in an AI era that's spiraling out of control super fast. And some of these things may come to life. So it's great to watch this sci-fi and prepare for the apocalypse.
There we go. And with that, we're going to end the show on the words, prepare for the apocalypse. If you'd enjoyed today's episode, please reach out, let us know. Thanks for tuning into Tech Magic, where we always invite you to come for the tech and stay for the magic. I'm Lee Kebler here, not with Kathy Hackle. She'll be back next week, but with Nic Hill from Sawhorse Productions in Los Angeles. Make sure to also check out his podcast, Brands in Play, as soon as you are done with this one. Jump over to his. It's a great show. You'll really love it. Special thanks, as always, to Adweek for bringing this show to you. Of course, we always ask you to leave a review. Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to connect with you. Just search for Tech Magic, Kathy Hackle, or me, Lee Kebler, or Nic Hill in Sawhorse Productions. You'll find us. We will be back next week.
Thank you, Lee.
Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bullspend, and marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bull spend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What if you laughed all through your commute? Or if you heard the funniest story while at the gym? Well, now you can. I'm Jamila Jamil, and guests on my new podcast, Wrong Turns, share their most mortifying and hilarious disaster stories. I'm talking people like Mae Martin, Bob the Drag Queen, Katherine Ryan, Jake Johnson, Margaret Cho, Simon Pegg, Penn Badgley, and so many more. So listen wherever you get your podcast, Wrong Turns, where dignity goes to die.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
Business is booming, but you know what really helped? Xero, the accounting platform for small businesses. I used to think spreadsheets were just part of it. Ugh. But real-time cash flow? Wow. Invoices that chase themselves? Even better. Books that automate? That's a big one. And I can keep track from my phone while I get the job done. No spreadsheet in sight. What a life. Do right by yourself and your business and search Xero for your free trial. Conditions apply.